What's going on, guys? It's Simo. So sometimes when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, you can hear all this crazy different jargon and all these crazy terms being thrown around, and you might not have a clue what anyone is talking about. And this can be a bit overwhelming, especially for newer players, or if you've been out of the game for any stretch of time. Well, today I'm bringing you my ultimate guide of 100 Yu-Gi-Oh terms you need to know. I compiled these from as many different sources as I could to give you guys a resource that if you're watching one of my videos, or maybe you hear people talking about something but you don't understand it, you can use this video as a guide to educate yourself. So we have a lot to get through, so I want to get right into it. But before I do, I just want to give a big shout out to my newest supporters through the YouTube channel membership. So big shout outs today to Carlos and Jane. You guys are the reason that this channel is growing strong. And if you guys want to help support the channel through a YouTube channel membership, hit the join button down below or check out the links in the description. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Advantage: the amount of cards one player has relative to another. The player with more cards generally has the advantage. Aggro: referring to a deck's playstyle, aggro decks attempt to dominate the game through large amounts of field presence. Anti-meta: cards, decks, or strategies specifically designed to counter the best decks. Archetype: a deck or strategy that is usually tied together by synergy between one or more common traits, such as name, type, or attribute. Auto-win: a card or combination of cards that when properly executed have a very low percentage of resulting in a loss. Back row: the spell and trap card zones, literally the back row of cards. Beat stick: a monster with high stats with the primary focus of attacking the opponent. Blank: to make an opponent's card have little to no value. Board: the area where cards are placed on the field. Bomb: a card that makes a large impact on the game when played. Book: a card or effect that sets a face-up monster on the field into face-down defense position. Boss monster: a generally high-statted monster with powerful effects that represents a given archetype. Bounce: an effect that returns a card from the field to the hand. Brick: an unplayable hand. Broken: overpowered and or unfair. Bubble: to be in contention for one of the last few positions in the top cut of a tournament. Burn: a card or effect that inflicts life point damage without the use of battle. Ceiling: the maximum potential power at a deck's disposal. Chain: to respond to a card or effect. Consistency: the frequency at which a deck performs the way it was intended to perform. Control: referring to a deck's playstyle, control decks attempt to control what the opponent can and cannot do, both proactively and reactively. Cost: an action that must be performed in order to activate a card or effect. Crash: refers to a monster attacking into an opposing monster, but either the attacking monster is destroyed, or both monsters are destroyed. Dead card: a card with no ability to impact the game. Degenerate: something considered very unfair that requires little to no thinking in its execution. Dump: to send a selected card from the deck to the graveyard. Engine: an element of a deck designed to generate advantage turn after turn. Extender: a card that either enables larger plays or allows for recovery to continue a certain play. Fizzle: when a card resolves without applying its effect. Flexible: the quality of a card being effective in a variety of situations. Floater: a card that replaces itself when sent to the graveyard or leaves the field. Floodgate: a card that restricts the ability for players to perform certain actions. Freeze: to prevent a card from being activated. FTK: first turn kill: to reduce the opponent's life points from 8,000 to 0 on the very first turn of the game. The opponent does not get a turn. Game: otherwise known as lethal, a combination of cards and actions resulting in one player winning the duel. Garnet: referring to Gem Knight Garnet, a card that is a mandatory engine requirement but is nearly worthless when in the hand. GG: good game, a sportsmanlike phrase used at the end of a match. Grind game: a situation where both players are making a minimal amount of moves and neither player can pull ahead. Hand trap: a card that can be activated from the hand, usually in response to an opponent's play. Hard once per turn: a once per turn effect that can truly only be used once per turn. Hate: a card or cards that are extremely effective at dealing with a particular deck or strategy. Helmet: a deck that is linear and easy to play. Ignorant: something that wins games on its own with little to no player interaction. Inherent, an unofficial term used to describe a type of summon that does not require an activation and does not start a chain. Lock, a combination of cards to prevent an opponent from playing the game. Lone Fire, a card or effect that tributes itself and special summons a monster from the deck. Loop, a set of actions that can be repeated multiple times. Meta, the most popular strategies in a given competitive environment, can change rather frequently. Mill, to send cards from the top of the deck to the graveyard. -1, losing a net total of 1 card. Mirror, a game where 2 players use the same deck against each other. Missing timing, the inability to activate a card or effect when it would meet its activation timing because it's not possible to activate it. Net deck, to copy a deck that was published online usually has a negative stigma. Nuke, to destroy all of something. OCG, original card game, usually used to refer to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! In Asia. OP, overpowered. OTK, 1 turn kill, to reduce the opponent's life points from 8,000 to 0 in a single turn. Overextending, to unnecessarily waste resources furthering a position that would have otherwise won a game. Pitch, to discard a card from hand or send a card from the hand to the graveyard. Play, an action taken. +1, gaining a net total of 1 card. Pop, an effect that destroys a single card on the field. Power creep, the process of which new cards outclass old cards in terms of strength. PSCT, problem-solving card text. Reborn, a card or effect that special summons a monster from the graveyard to the field. Record, a player's current standing in a tournament, usually expressed in the form of XO or X1, where X represents any number of wins, and the right digit represents the number of losses. Rip, to forcefully make an opponent discard a card. Rogue, a deck that sees little to no play in the competitive environment. Rhoda, referencing reinforcement of the army, an effect that adds a card from deck to hand. Sack, getting a lucky draw or having the perfect counter to an optimal play. Salty, being noticeably upset over a certain situation. Scoop, to admit defeat, to literally scoop up your cards. Searcher, a card that adds a card from deck to hand, also known as a tutor. SEGOC, simultaneous effects go on chain. Shark, to abuse the rules of the game in order to gain an unfair advantage. Soft once per turn, a once per turn effect that can potentially be used multiple times in a single turn, achieved either through multiple copies of the same card or the same card being continuously summoned and resummoned to the field. Spell speed, a system that dictates whether or not cards can be activated in response to one another. Spin, an effect that returns a card from the field or graveyard to the deck. Stacking, to manipulate cards in a deck to influence a specific outcome, can be done legally or illegally. Stall, to intentionally slow down the game. Staple, a generic card that is typically strong and can be played in most decks. Starter, a card that serves as a play opener and sets the rest of the deck in motion. Stun, an effect or strategy that restricts the ability for players to perform certain actions. Swing, to declare an attack. T-set, a move consisting of a set monster and a set face-down spell or trap in the same column, resembling the shape of a T. Tag out, a type of monster effect where one monster leaves the field and is replaced with another. TCG, trading card game. Tech, an unconventional card choice played either specifically to counter certain strategies or due to player preference. Tempo, how one player's resources match up against another's, and the pace at which the game is played. The Nuts, an extraordinarily powerful hand usually resulting in victory. The Out, a very specific card necessary to counter an opponent's play. Thin, to remove cards from the deck during a game to increase the likelihood of drawing particular cards. Tier, a grouping system which ranks all decks based on their competitive viability and performance in a given format. Tier 0, a ranking for a deck so powerful the only viable competitive option is to play that specific deck. Toolbox, a group of cards that can be easily accessed and are practical for many different situations. Top, to achieve prizing from a tournament, also used to refer to making it to the second stage of larger events. Top deck, to rely solely on the outcome of a card drawn from the top of the deck. Vanilla, a normal monster with no effect. Wall, a monster that is difficult to destroy either by battle or card effect. Win condition, a situation or combination of cards that effectively win the game even though both players still have life points. Win more, a card that has no impact on the outcome of a game when you are already winning. So guys, that's gonna wrap up the video. Be sure to like the video as always, subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content, and if you found this video extremely helpful, consider supporting the channel through a YouTube channel membership, because just by showing your support in any way that you can, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.